Hello guys, welcome back to Zodiac Trading. So today we're going to look at Evergrande. So we've been observing Evergrande for some time, and it is now one of the largest and highly, or just say massively leveraged real estate developer in China, which is about to bankrupt, but because of the intervention of the Chinese government, Evergrande has been, consistently not being able to bankrupt, but in the same time consist of many defaults. So it's rather bizarre because obviously Chinese government does not want Evergrande to be bankrupt, while it has nearly 2 trillion worth of debt liability on its balance sheets. If you look at the financial figures of its balance sheet, you'll be frightened and horrified by the fact that why on earth would any company on this planet to carry to be allowed to have so much of debt, and even with this amount of debt able to exist in the financial market. So right now we're seeing um, the very last, the ending moment of this company, this giant, which symbolize the end of the Chinese rapid GDP growth, and which is the new era will begin. Okay, so it will be a sign showing that the Chinese rapid economic growth era will be finished. In the same time, uh, I think there will be the there will be escalation between the tension between China and U.S. will increase. So today we're going to look at some of the financial number of Evergrande, and I'm also going to share my opinion of how Evergrande is working and what is going to be the next step of this company, this real estate giant. So as you can see from this headline, Evergrande lost 2 billion in value as trade resumes, extends creditor voting. So actually we can see the ticker in Hong Kong Exchange is the China Evergrande Group, which is 3333. So it has lost $2.2 billion, which is 79% of its market value. And today, on Monday, it resumes stock trading. And now we are seeing the stocks rapidly drop. Okay, so we are seeing one of the largest share price plunge, and it was like trading at around Hong Kong 35 cents on Monday. And the market capitalization shrank to 4.6 billion Hong Kong dollar, which is equivalent of nearly $586 million. Uh, and the previous trading market capitalization is around 21.8 billion Hong Kong dollar, which works as $2.78 billion. So it's very difficult to imagine the company share price of Evergrande will drop massively at around 79%. And no doubt, as I log into the Chinese regional website, it's very difficult to see the related news of Evergrande's. So right now, the Chinese financial market is trying to put restriction on the news and also on the exposure. So actually, what you can see now from the TikTok, what you can see from the Baidu, what you can see from Zhihu and main, most of the traffic, the internet social network, it's difficult to see the link or the news related to Evergrande share price. So obviously, uh, you know, uh, to be able to ease down the stress and also the pressure uh, brought by the Evergrande market plummet, we be able to see that Chinese government urgently want to recover uh, investors' confidence, especially in the real estate sector, because right now the least thing the Chinese market needed is another debt bomb. Okay, so what we can see here is actually a prolonged process which should have been happened a lot earlier. But because of the Chinese government's operation, the Evergrande's default and bankrupting process became extremely long. So it kept a lot of external investors in doubt, questioning what really happens inside of Evergrande's bankruptcy process. As we all know right now, the company owner, Mr. Hui Kayan, he is the company representative, and at the same time, he's during this process, he's being custody by the authority in China, so he's not allowed to leave China. And in the same time, he has some political mission to fulfill. Mostly, he has to deliver most of the houses, most of the developing properties. But that doesn't mean the company is recovering from its debt, because by the time when Evergrande's deliver most of the uh, properties and houses that are being built, and if they should they have delivered those houses to the consumers, that only mean that they can access to the remaining liquidity in a third party in a bank, because according to the Chinese regulation, as a real estate developer, you can only access the rest of the money, which is consumers' money, after you deliver the house. So it gives incentives for Evergrande to continue building its houses. But that doesn't mean that these houses, while being delivered, the problem will be solved, because Evergrande Group still own a lot of suppliers, huge amount of debt. And Evergrande, according to its recent actions, has no intention whatsoever to pay back its domestic suppliers. So its priority remains to pay off its foreign debt owner, because Hui Kaiyan, Mr. Hui Kaiyan is a very smart guy. He understands to keep the Ponzi scheme from running, you need to keep a very low amount of transparency in this scheme. That means you have to, in the same time, keep the foreign investors confident in the Evergrande group. That means you cannot default on a foreign debt. So they are juicing whatever whatsoever left inside of Evergrande Group, the, whatever the liquidity left in that group, and to use that amount of cash to pay for the foreign debt, pay for the interest of the foreign debt to avoid further default. So recently, this is what the Evergrande been doing. They're trying to prolong and keep the foreign investors to keep investing in Evergrande. In the same time, they refuse to pay back their local suppliers. They refuse to pay back most of the individuals with the help of Chinese government. And at the same time, Evergrande's have the help, and they actually try to start a restructuring process in U.S. market. We are start seeing the Evergrande group started to in the process of the bankruptcy, they are trying to protect their foreign assets, their U.S. assets, from being seized by its debtor, from people who own their debt owners, because that's, I think, the what is going to happen in the future is that first, China Evergrande Group is going to prohibit its foreign debtor from seizing their assets in the U.S. market and abroad. They want to keep most of the liquidity in the foreign market. And in the second, what China Evergrande is going to do is that they are trying to start these China Evergrande New Energy Vehicle Group, which is the ticker is 0708 Hong Kong, and this will be their next. They are just stripping off most of the debt from their previous entity, and right now they are transferring most of the liquidity and assets to this company. So that means they want to give up these free stock, and now they're trying to revive themselves, reincarnate in the other ticker, which is 0708. So they're trying to start another company so they could start make money again without paying the old debt. So, and the third is they are planning to systemically default and at the same time try to not be able to pay off its most of the debtors. And now what we are seeing is just a natural consequence of its failure. So as consequently, Evergrande would now face a potential delisting situation, and if the suspension had reached 18 months. So that would be a key question for most of the foreign institutions right now, because if the Chinese government prohibit Evergrande to bankrupt, that would just bring a key question to confidentiality and also to the confidence to the global financial market that if such company is not bankrupting, what else company can bankrupt? So that would just give a serious question to foreign investors, and that would just dramatically reduce the foreign investors' confidence on Chinese economic reviving. So I think there is actually a little hope for Evergrande to sell its house to repay the debt, because right now, as you can see from the balance sheet, it's only very small proportion of the cash that could be bring back approximately around 1,000 I was 100 billion Hong Kong dollars to around 200 billion dollars Hong Kong dollars, and that compared to its 2,000 billion worth of debt, it's just nothing. Okay, so it would be really difficult for Evergrande to sell its remaining house to and to use that cash to actually avoid being bankrupt. So I believe this is the last moment of the debt crisis, the Chinese debt crisis, because the foreign investors and institutions, they are going to realize there are lots of trickery happen inside of the Chinese financial market black box. And that what they are trying to do now is they're trying to use every media tools and every policy tools as they can to fix the situation. But I don't think they'd be able to fix the situation, because they um, even though they may push some political stress and to the Hong Kong exchange and actually ask the Hong Kong exchange to not delist the Evergrande company from being delisting from the stock market or being bankrupt, even though the Chinese government could do that, but that would just bring another chaotic situation to the global financial market, because global investors would question the transparency and also the worthiness of continue investing in Hong Kong stock market. So would they become like, so for the foreign investors, the situation is rather clear, because they could keep the money, put the money inside of the Hong Kong exchange and continue being bullied by the policies and and lots of troubled assets. Or B, they could get out now and sell everything for the remaining liquidity, and they could make money elsewhere. So I think most of the key players are now facing these very difficult and dilemma situation, even though they may be politically stressed or enforced to have their money tied in a financial market, such as, for example, such as BlackRock, such as many hedge funds, because they are heavily infiltrated by the authority. So I think they have every reason not to leave the Chinese market. But except from that, I think most investors have solid and enough reasons to leave the Hong Kong market right now. So right now, according to the Hang Seng Mainland Property Index, it rose like 6%, and China new home sales have no new growth this year. And I believe the data is much worse because, as you can see from the GDP growth, right now they are trying to send out the propaganda asking the people not to pay attention to the GDP growth, but instead paying attention to the structural change of the financial market. So if you actually this is what I've been telling, global investors for a long time, is that if you don't really understand Chinese and you don't really use WeChat or you don't use Zhihu and all these social network, it would be difficult for you to see the propaganda spread inside of the Chinese network because obviously you have a parallel universe. You have one external propaganda machine and you have one propaganda machine for domestic people. So it's entirely different. The foreign investors are told what they want to hear, and the local citizens can only be transferred those information or convey those information that they are required or they are allowed to understand. So most of the people don't have the full picture of really or of what's going on or whatsoever. So today what we are seeing is a massive stock plummet. We're seeing Evergrande lost 2 billion in its value. We're seeing the share price goes down by 79%. And I think there will be no reason to believe there will be a certain reviving or any policy would be able to save the real estate company and groups from these massive amount of debt. So there is no question that this is the Chinese version of Lehman Brothers moment, what we're witnessing right now. So right now we can still see this. This is what the latest trade of trading price of China Evergrande Group. It's trading at 0.32 Hong Kong dollar. And if we actually see its financial, the entire financial data, it has been deteriorated dramatically, and its gross profit shrinks very quickly as well. And we are start seeing a lot of debt and very little liquidity. So stop hearing, stop listening to the bollocks that the Wall Street tried to tell you. It is the time that you sell everything and you protect yourself from the incoming global market risk. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. And if you have anything that you want to discuss or share about, please leave a comment below. I will see you in the next video. Bye.